So the big question, is CubeCraft going to become bigger than Hive? Well, yes. But is it already bigger than Hive? Yes and no. Before we get into it though, 70% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you wouldn't mind subscribing, there might be a YouTube glitch that makes you unsubscribe. I don't know. But check if you're subscribed. If you aren't, please do. Thank you. Alright, now the video. So a bit of backstory for those of you who don't know, even though all of you probably do. The Hive and CubeCraft are the two biggest servers on Bedrock Edition by tens of thousands of players at their peak times. It's not even close. The highest other servers are Mineplex and Lifeboat, and they are tens of thousands of players behind. Their peak is probably 40,000 players lower than the Hive and Cubes. So they are the top two servers, and they are competing for, you know, first and second spots. And Hive has been the #1 server. That wasn't a question for a very long time, but now it is, because CubeCraft is growing faster than the Hive is. And this is shown not in their player counts, because if you look at their player counts, CubeCraft has a higher player count during the morning, because they have all the European players, because they only have European servers. But Hive has more North American players, because they are mostly NA-based servers. And while they do have European servers, they have less players on their European servers than they do on their North American servers. So this makes them very popular during the afternoon/evening of North America. So it'll be the mornings, the CubeCraft is the biggest server by player count, and then in the evenings, Hive is the biggest server by player count. So then, how do you know who the bigger server is? If they are both the biggest server at some point during the day, then how do you tell which is the bigger server overall? Well, it's not necessarily the easiest to find out which is the biggest server overall, because there are multiple ways you can say, oh, the server's bigger. You could say this server has a higher player count for a longer time, or this player count is the highest played server for more time. And there are a lot of different ways you can take it, but the way I'm taking it is who has the higher 24-hour peak. That is my thing that I think is the best measurement of the most popular server, because the number of players, I have not found a source that will tell me the number of players that plays a certain server in one day. So I don't know the total number of players in a server in one day. So then which server has the higher 24-hour peak? Well, right now it's the Hive. The Hive has around a 1,000 player lead on CubeCraft in total number of players on the server. So right now, the Hive's 24-hour peak is 43,000, while Cube's is 42,000. So it's not a huge difference, as that's just 1,000 out of 40,000. But there is still a difference, and it's around 1,000 currently. But yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, CubeCraft had more players by around 800. It had more players than the Hive, and the way I'm getting my data is from Minecraft, the Bedrock Edition version, which I will be showing in a couple seconds. There we go. So this is Minecraft. This shows the player count of 7 Bedrock Edition servers, and here Hive is the yellow line, CubeCraft is the blue line. So you can see what I'm talking about. Hive is higher in the evenings. This is the evenings, and CubeCraft, the blue line, gets higher in the mornings, and then is eventually taken over by Hive. And these numbers are a bit off because CubeCraft lost something, and its player count went down to 900 for a bit right here. So I don't know what happened, but the servers went down. Now you can see 24-hour peak of Hive right here, 43,756. CubeCraft, 42,800. And that is right here. Cubes is around here. Hives is around here. And this pattern continues almost every day. Cube's peak is reached around an hour before Hive's. But this is a screenshot of Minecraft from March 23rd and March 24th. And CubeCraft's peak, 24-hour peak, is 42,559, while Hive's is 41,814, making it just smaller, around 800 smaller than CubeCraft. And not only did it happen this day, it happened the Sunday before this. This was a Tuesday where the graphs are higher, and the Sunday before it as well, CubeCraft had a higher 24-hour peak. But that doesn't necessarily show something for sure. As you can see, Hive has a higher player count right now, higher 24-hour player count, so it's still the bigger server, and it'll keep being the bigger server. Right? Well, no. Look at the record player count. CubeCraft record player count was set March 14th. Hive's record player count was set February 13th. CubeCraft's highest player count was 2 weeks ago, while Hive's was over a month ago. And this doesn't just show everything. This peak was set this weekend. The weekend before it, it was set twice. And the weekend before that, the highest player count was set twice. Almost every Saturday and Sunday for a month, CubeCraft hit a new record every single weekend. Hive has not done this. They haven't set a new record player count in a month and around 2 weeks. So all this to say, CubeCraft is becoming the biggest server on Bedrock Edition. And I think soon enough, it won't just be alternating between Hive and CubeCraft. As you can see, the growth of CubeCraft, the slow decline of Hive, that just goes to show CubeCraft is growing faster, and I think it'll keep growing. CubeCraft has not added everything it needs to. It has not added NA servers, which are the biggest thing that it needs right now. And I cannot imagine how much the server will grow once it gets NA servers. And I do think that is a once. I do not think it is an if. It is a once. And that is a once. They have announced we are coming out with NA servers. They've leaked it in a forums post, which I'll show here. And they have said, hey, we're doing NA servers. I've heard it confirmed from admins, or I've heard indirectly confirmed from admins. I've never heard directly an admin say it, but I've heard other people say admins have said it. And they are people I trust. So I can believe that NA servers are coming as they leaked it here. And I think that means Hive will lose some of its NA players to CubeCraft, as lag is one of the biggest complaints, because lag is pretty bad. But Hive will lose some players to CubeCraft. As you can see with that spike. The spike where CubeCraft lost all of its players, or the dip, not a spike, where CubeCraft lost all its players, and Hive took some of those players. I'll show a screenshot of the graph again up here, but you can see they didn't, all the CubeCraft players, not all of them, most of the CubeCraft players got right back on, but the ones that didn't, they went over to Hive for a bit, and they decided to play on Hive, showing CubeCraft players, they play, when CubeCraft goes down, they go to Hive. That means Hive players, if Hive goes down, they'll go to CubeCraft and be even more likely to do it. As well as this with some big additions, actually one that just came out today. If you don't know about it, it's called, I don't know what it's called, but it means that when you have input device matchmaking, if you're playing on mobile, if you're playing on console, you can turn up the difficulty and you can go to play against, if you're mobile, you can play against console and PC. If you're console, you can go play with PC, which is a great addition because some mobile players are good at the game, some console players are good at the game, and in general, PC players are better than both mobile and console players. So having this choice, this opportunity to actually play with the more skilled players is really good for people who want to get better at the game and who more enjoy the challenges of actually needing to actually fight players instead of just being good at the game and beating them pretty easily. Now, I don't think Hive is necessarily doing anything wrong. I'm not saying Hive's growth is happening or Hive's slow decline is happening because it's doing something bad or that Hive is dying. Hive still hits 40,000 players a day, which is an insane amount of players. And I don't think Hive is going to lose all its players and CubeCraft is going to steal all of its players. No, it's not going to be a Hypixel situation where CubeCraft is the biggest server. It's going to be similar to what Bedrock was like for the past while, where Cube was slightly behind Hive, but you could definitely tell there was a top two. The same thing is going to happen with Hive and CubeCraft, just now it's going to be slightly flopped, where Hive is the slightly bigger of, or Cube is slightly bigger, the slightly bigger of the two, and Hive is slightly smaller, but they're still definitely the top two servers. It's not a total domination by CubeCraft, which I think is good. It creates more competition as the servers actually have to be better than each other. That if they want to get players, they can't just sit there and be like, hey, here's this bad game mode. They have to put in time to try to make games that are better than each other. And I think the competition will create good things for both servers, hopefully, because I don't want to see Hive die. Hive has a great community. They have like an insane YouTube community and all that. And I think, you know, you want to keep that alive. It's great. Even if it's a different server, it's still good to have a Bedrock Edition server community. So that's about it, pretty much. Just saying, CubeCraft is becoming bigger than Hive. It will end up being the biggest server in Bedrock Edition pretty soon, I would guess, if it's not already technically, at least for a bit. And I think it'll maintain this. When it gets NA servers, I think it'll become the definite biggest server. Now it's like a vague, they're both big, but Hive is slightly bigger, and I think it'll definitely become a solid. Cube is in first place, and it is the largest server in Bedrock Edition. I think it's just a matter of time. But we'll see. I can't say any is for sure. Maybe Cube is doing something terrible. Maybe they're coming out with a terrible update, and we'll have to see how things play out. And yeah, I'll put Mindtrack in the description. That's the website that tracks the player counts of every server. I highly recommend checking it out. I've been stalking it for a while. That's why I know how to make this video right when it came out. If you want to watch, if you're either Hive hoping to find, or a Hive player hoping to find a day where Hive is better or something, Hive is higher, and then just like screenshot it and then just make fun of all the CubeCraft players, do that. If you're a CubeCraft player wanting to do the if you're a CubeCraft player wanting to do the opposite, go ahead. So yeah, both servers are good. Don't hate on one. Doesn't matter which server is bigger. They're both still good. But yes, CubeCraft is going to be the biggest server pretty soon. Subscribe. Bye.